why do you think it is, Flor, that we are still, for some unknown mental reason, describing music as female fronted? I am joined by Flor Jansen from Nightwish. Yeah. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
I am delicious. Flor, thank you so much for coming on the program. Obviously, the lead singer of Nightwish, you have had a sensational career so far. You've traveled the world. You've played in front of hundreds and thousands of people, Flor. But my first question is always the same. And it's a fun question because it always generates an interesting answer or opens a can of worms. Within your time in Nightwish, what to date has been your biggest Spinal Tap moment?
Ooh, oh God. Well, there are always the situations where you really go around and ask where the fucking backstage is, or where the stage is. That's the thing. The Spinal Tap. Where's the fucking stage?
Yeah.
I've had those, but I guess the one more visual for the world is still to be found on the interwebs somewhere, and that's where I slipped on stage because it was wet, and I had these impossible shoes, and yeah, I thought I got it, and well, there I went.
Oh no!
And, you know, I'm 183 meters, so I'm over 6 foot, and my good friend Russell Allen once said, told people they're like trees when they come down. And that's true. Yeah, yeah.
No. So okay, that is quite a Spinal Tap. That is, I will definitely give you that. In 2018, you actually inspired the name of a new species of beetle. How fucking crazy is that? How did that even happen?
Well, it's not like I went around to biologists begging them for, if there was ever a species that doesn't have a name yet, consider mine.
Right.
But there was a biologist truly inspired by Nightwish and by me who indeed stumbled upon this new species of beetles in New Guinea and baptized it after himself and myself.
That's so mental. That's crazy. Sorry, this is supposed to obviously be about music, but I've never met somebody that has inspired the name of a new species of beetle or any animal. So,
there's even a fossil now named after me as well. Oh. That was found in the Netherlands. That was a subspecies of a more known species. And yeah, there's a Nightwish tulip nowadays. It's crazy.
That's mad. I just want to firstly congratulate you on Storm. It's a really beautiful record, and obviously as is Fire. It was nice to hear you stripped back. We're used to hearing you with these big, powerful, kind of guitars and synths, and it was. How was that experience for you being so stripped back?
Well, it was an aware choice, and just for the listeners who might know me a bit less, Storm and Fire are my first solo singles, so they are not released by Nightwish. It's not me doing Nightwish. This is me doing something solo. I'm not sure how I'm being introduced, but I find it important to state the obvious, the obvious difference there, the important difference that I made this choice. And hence also the difference in sound, because I've been doing metal over 20 years, and indeed now the last 10 in Nightwish, and I feel like I'm singing in the biggest band in my genre at this point already. Wow. And it doesn't really make any sense for me, also not musically, to try and do the same thing, but then not with Nightwish. Hence the search for a different sound. And it did feel like less could be more this time. And I would like to experiment more in a more pop music environment, as in not metal, not rock. And pop music itself it doesn't really say anything about how it eventually will sound, but Yeah, definitely from a less is more kind of perspective, shorter songs, a bit easier songs, and but still with a lot of space for my voice, and
Yes.
it has to sound like me. And that was super tricky. Like,
Yes.
how do you make something sound like me that has not been written yet, that does not exist yet? So yeah, that was a search.
I mean, I find it astounding how successful you and Nightwish are. You are to date the most successful Finnish band. You've had 6 number one albums, 13 number one singles. You've sold over 10 million records. And in 2018, you were inducted into the Finnish Music Hall of Fame. Why do you think that Nightwish have become so successful and so well respected?
I think it's a combination of factor, but first and foremost, I think it's because our songwriter Tuomas Holopainen writes incredibly good music. It's in the end of the day always the music doing the talking, and then it's a whole lot of factors that need to make sure that that music comes out in the world, and that the band who's in it survives all the pressure that comes with that, which they have obviously, and is able to change throughout the years, which also happened. So and a lot of willpower to make things happen and to keep it going. That as well, but surely music is where it starts with, and good musicians.
I completely agree, and I think that everything you guys kind of release is just gets kind of better and better. I really enjoy. I mean, I obviously, of course, I loved the solo stuff that you're doing, and I would be so interested to hear you dive into the world of pop. I mean, are we talking? I mean, you mentioned you going back to pop. Are you kind of going full on pop? Like, are we going to hear like a new version of One Direction, or is this going to be maybe pop but with a bit of a twist, with a bit of a darker kind of sound to it?
Yeah, probably a bit darker, since I do enjoy the melancholic touch to music. I am 40 plus, so I don't really see myself in that kind of young pop direction either. There's a more mature version of me. I'm not going to be dancing about like Britney Spears, or as she might have did before. You know, there's not that kind. I mean, pop music comes, as I said, in many colors, and I like the darker edge, but I also like to explore things with different kinds of instruments and different sounds. That doesn't mean I'm going to have a whole album with dance beats. It's just, you know, whatever feels good and fits my voice really. And I think the first 2 singles really match in their style, but that doesn't mean that the whole album is going to be a copy paste of this kind of a format. So I'd like to keep the space open for different kinds of things. I already know that because there are more songs ready. The last songs are to be written, so the rest is really all, you know, getting together there, and it's supposed to come in 2023, the whole album.
Wow.
So yeah, that's exciting.
That's amazing. So it's almost like you're kind of not reinventing yourself, but you're now exploring another avenue that perhaps we didn't know about before.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, it all started with me doing a Dutch TV show that made me popular in the Netherlands. Kind of put me on the map there, despite the fact that I've been making music throughout, you know, my entire career. And Nightwish is known there. We were doing well there, but after that show, both Nightwish and I, you know, went up in popularity, and all of a sudden, I basically got this solo career handed out on a golden platter. There, like, hey, could you do this project? Can you sing on this TV show? Can you? Would you like to do solo shows? And especially when I did the shows, I realized that, yeah, this is something that immediately puts. I mean, it was in the Netherlands, but everybody in the world seemed to be watching this. It was international from immediately, just because of Nightwish, and it kind of it all kickstarted it from there. And yeah, the pandemic gave me a lot of time to kind of think it over, like, okay, if I'm going to do it, how, and with who, and what kind of music, and who. So I really took the time to create the right team around me, both musically as business wise. And then all of a sudden I start to realize that I actually really enjoy doing this. I love being a Nightwish, and a lot of people felt stressed about me leaving or anything like it. There's nothing to do with Nightwish in this sense.
Yeah.
It's just fun to do something on the side. I usually get time quite in between albums, and I like it, and I like writing music as well and exploring the more songwriting part of myself in this more than before. So.
I think collaborations and solo projects for artists such as yourself, actually artists in general, if you've got something outside of your immediate project that you can work on, it keeps the main focus exciting and energizing.
Yeah, it keeps it more fresh. Yeah, sure.
I always say, I mean, not that you asked, but my advice to kind of aspiring musicians, I suppose, would always be to try and collaborate and be clever with geographical distance, try and collaborate as much as possible, because it broadens the musician's horizon and also it inflates a fan base. But
yeah, sure,
we're in a really turbulent time. I mean, the music industry is all over the place at the moment, and it's changed so much since even you joined Nightwish, and since even you kind of began your career. What would your advice be, Floor, to an aspiring musician that just really wants to get their career to the next step? Maybe they're, I don't know, struggling with social media. Maybe they're struggling to get the plays and the streams on Spotify. Maybe they're struggling to get gigs. What would you advise?
You know what? You're spot on when you say, things have been changing ever since I joined Nightwish 10 years ago, and surely since I started over 20 years ago. And up until a couple of years ago, I would be able to answer this question more precisely. At the moment, I don't really feel like I have that answer anymore because it's changing so fast. This question you should ask somebody that intensively knows about social media, because social media is, and that would be too short to say, get your social media in order, because that's sort of like, but how I actually don't know. And that is even very different. Everywhere it's different on what kind of music, it's different on in what age you're in. And then if you maybe know it now, you don't know it in half a year, because then something else is more popular. I mean, I remember when TikTok came, I always thought of those little, things you can eat, like mints. Yeah. And then I realized it wasn't a mint, but now it's something online. And I saw some videos like, but that's not for me. And then I realized, it's for younger people. Cool. Yeah. Until my 14-year-old neighbor said, or actually he's younger. He said, hey, you're on TikTok now.
Right.
I am? Yeah, you are. Because my social media magician got me on there.
Yeah.
And after that, we realized, okay, it's a smart thing to also use. So in that sense, I could only advise to make sure that you get that you use the tool that's there, and it's a fantastic tool, right? And if you don't know how, find somebody who can.
Okay. Okay.
And the rest is basically the same. If you really want to make it, you're going to have to work a lot of hours with many, many months and maybe years of no real big progression or only small steps, and it will never give you any security. So if you want, to make sure that you can pay your mortgage and, live a routine life, that might not be for you. Then again, it's also very fulfilling. So it's just about what you seek, but
yes,
you need a spine to do it, and a spine to last, and talent.
Of course.
Talent helps. Yeah, but it's not, of course, because there are very, very many people on there that lack exactly that bit. It's terrible. So I feel like you have to be honest about that too. You have to be good enough.
For somebody that said they didn't know if they could give any advice in the current climate of the music industry, I think you did a really bloody good job with that. So I think that was spot on. We're in 2022, as you know, and Nightwish are still being described as a female fronted band. It is a terminology that drives me mad. When you hear Metallica, you don't go, "Oh, Metallica, that male fronted band." I don't understand what, like, female fronted tells me nothing about how you guys sound. When we say you're like a symphonic rock metal band, and you sound like X, Y, and Z, that tells me something. Why do you think it is, Flor, that we are still, for some unknown mental reason, describing music as female fronted?
Well, ask the people writing that. We're not advertising like that. No, there's nobody in Nightwish that would write it down. There's nobody in our team that would write it down. So apparently there's people in the media still writing it down. And then there's other people that did not do their homework as intensively as you have, or have an intellectual opinion about it, that copy paste female fronted. And I've been ridiculing it since the first time it came. So for me, it's like, there's another, and that's a more sexist thing to say, but it's probably a guy that came up with it. I don't think any woman would want to, label female fronted metal as female fronted metal, because it doesn't say anything about the music. So the longer we keep shouting it, the longer we keep it alive.
That's very true. I will not shout about it again. But my wrist slapped. What does the future hold? We know that you've got your solo album coming out next year, which we are really excited about. What does the future hold for Nightwish? I know that from now towards the end of 2022, you've got kind of a few dates here and there over Europe. But what's happening with regards to future plans? Are you releasing another album, and are you coming to the UK?
Well, yeah.
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes, and yes, there are many future plans. Yes, we're coming to the UK. We have a couple of dates in Europe, but also South America. We just came back from North America, and we still have Asia and Australia left. So we basically have our entire world tour yet to still be done, apart from the North American leg we just did, and our first festival last week in Finland, which was a lovely reminder of, festivals in Europe. And this year, it rains, it's really cold, and there's mud everywhere. It was, a throwback to, the times before, like, yes, of course, that's how it is. Great to be back. So we're definitely coming back to the UK also within this year. So keep your eyes out for the dates for everybody that would be interested. Absolutely. And so Tuomas has not been sitting on his hands either during the pandemic, and actually already wrote an entire album.
Wow.
So we lucky ones have already been able to hear the demos of that.
Amazing.
And this is something that's in the entire history of Nightwish has never happened, that there's an album basically ready for us to work on. But we're now going to just hit the summer festivals. We'll be gone every weekend.
Wow.
And there's not enough space in between the tours, so we'll be recording a new album in 2023.
Amazing. Oh my god, that is so exciting. That is going to be so sick. Does touring, I mean, you've mentioned you're essentially in the middle of like a world tour. You've got so many dates cropping up all over the place. Does it ever get tiring? Does it ever get tedious? I mean, you guys must get to a point in the tour where you're really kind of physically and emotionally drained, or is it the crowd pumping you that keeps you going?
I mean, we never do very long tours anymore, just because of that. Become drained and lose the fun. It's a sort of a luxury to take it to a shorter level, but also to keep our sanity, to keep that energy that we bring night after night. We find that important. So we usually don't get that far, and surely we get the energy from the crowd. But if you look at a day with 24 hours in it, we sleep a couple of it, and the rest of the day you don't spend that on stage. So only 2 of those are spent on stage, and the rest of the time you need to find your energy from something else, while saving it for the actual show, because you can't get on stage tired.
No.
So there's always that balance to keep, but that really means that you need to have a good time amongst each other. in the group. And that is something that I want to mention is super important for the, the tour sanity and for the all round feeling of, feeling well within the touring life, is that we have a good time together.
Amazing. You have got one of the best voices in rock. And I cannot wait to. That's £10, please. No, I'm joking. Yeah, but I am so excited to see you guys over here as soon as possible, and I want to just wish you all the luck in the world with your future shows. Best of luck with your solo project. Best of luck with the new Nightwish album. My God, is there anything you're not fucking doing at the moment? Like, there's so much going on.
No, not really. It's crazy indeed. Yeah, I'm on German TV every week. It's kind of funny. I had to learn Finnish, German, I mean.
Oh my God.
I just came back from Scotland. We actually had a weekend off in Edinburgh.
I saw. That's amazing.
So that's that too. So no, absolutely all good things. And well, it was lovely to chat about all of that with you.
Thank you.
I wish you good luck with your new podcast here as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Hang up. No, you hang up. Stop it. Come on.
I want my £10 back. That's it.
All right, we're even. Flor, thank you so much.